Stocks rise on hopes for progress in U.S.-China trade talks. Stocks rose on Friday amid renewed optimism on the progress of trade talks between Washington and Beijing as Wall Street concluded a stellar quarterly performance. The Dow traded 115 points higher as Intel and Caterpillar outperformed. The S&P bank stocks also rose broadly. Citigroup, Gold. U.S. officials said China had made proposals on a range of issues that go further than it has before, including on forced technology transfer. Treasury Secretary, the world's two largest economies have imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of one another's goods over the past year, battering financial markets and souring business and consumer sentiment. Chinese stocks surged overnight. The Shanghai Composite Friday's gains added to the strong performance from the quarter. The S&P, the Dow is up 10.3% this quarter through Thursday's close, its best start to a year since 2013, while the Nasdaq is on pace for its biggest quarterly gain since the first quarter of 2012. This quarter's rally is characterized by three factors: a sharp rebound off the Christmas Eve lows, increasing optimism in U.S.-China trade talks, and a sharp reversal in the Federal Reserve's monetary policy stance. The irrational moment of December was just that, a moment driven by tax selling, algorithms, and people being extremely emotional about the headlines, said Phil Blancato, CEO of Ladenburg Thalmann Asset Management. But while December, concerns over a possible economic slowdown have thrown some cold water on the rally as global economic data continue to deteriorate. This has pushed down. When you look at the full quarter, the thing that stands out the most is the divergence in the direction of the stock markets across the world and the direction of the 10-year bond in the US and in other countries, said Tom Martin, senior portfolio manager at Globalt. The data is poor. The Atlanta Federal Reserve's GDP Now tool forecast economic growth of 1.5% for the first quarter, well below the 2.2% print for the fourth quarter of 2018. Earnings growth for the first quarter is also expected to be lackluster. FactSet data. Linda Dussel, senior equity strategist at Federated Investors, is still not worried, however. There is no reason to believe we won't experience a so-called soft landing in the economy, particularly if the Fed is at bay, Dussel said. The bottom line is, CNBC's Sam Meredith contributed to this report.
Raindrops, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.